Hey guys, this video is about a Carp by Vanguard video. So I hope you guys enjoyed them. Like, comment, subscribe. This was sorry. So yeah, I've been kind of meaning to do this for a while now, and I kept forgetting to. And we're finally back to doing the, me reacting to my fights, because this one's actually a good one, and I do want to react to it. So today we are reacting to Zorga Masques versus Nirvana. I have no idea how it's going to work because the actual video is currently uploading in the background, and I don't want to go open the actual video on my computer, because even though it'll give me full screen of it, I'm afraid it'll glitch out, because I know whenever I move the file while it's uploading, it glitches out the upload. So yeah, I'm just gonna watch it from iMovie, and hopefully you can see the full screen, because I'm noticing that right now that this is down here, but I'm gonna assume it works, and if it doesn't, then screw me. So let's go and get this started, shall we, and watch it. I'm just gonna skip right through the intro and the Patreon announcement because I can and I will. Okay, you can see most of it, so let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? Is the volume on? Should be. Okay, there we go. So, this actually a good match. I don't know if I can keep talking through all of it, but I gotta say. So, this was, I don't know when it's gonna go up, but I want to say this now. This was recorded the day that we got, well, this video itself that I'm recording right now, and then this video that we are watching was recorded in the same day, the day that we got the reveal of the Grade 1 premiere of Irina. And all around, it's a pretty interesting match. I'm gonna let it play out, but, there are a lot of misplays here. You see, you can't tell because I cut them, and some of the later ones will be more noticeable because the cuts aren't as good, but it was a little bit of lag and a little bit of me not paying attention, because me discarding that roaming prison dragon there, yes, that is the obvious and smart move. It took me 17 seconds exactly, because that was the start of the game, to realize that I had a roaming prison in hand. And that mistake was also because of lag, because I didn't notice. I just now realized my computer might lag because I'm uploading a video watching on iMovie with music on, which normally lags it, with text on, and I'm recording all at once. I feel like this is going to cause a problem later. But, whenever lag happens, I'm not paying much attention to what's happening because I got to manage two different decks here. And one of these decks, this one mainly, is a deck that I have, it's 50-50, and thankfully today was a good 50-50. I literally said last night that when I do this video, it's going to be a 50-50 bet, where either Zorga actually wins or tries to win, and then or it doesn't. It's going to be one of those two things. And thankfully today, Zorga tried. It made it a very good and close match. So you won't be able to see the full field, so you can't tell that that's a critical trigger, but it's a critical trigger. It's burning field. You should be able to kind of tell what it is. Sorry about that. Again, the computer's being weird with what it can see and what it can't see. Because even though it doesn't look like it's at max screen for screen recording, it is. It's just the way iMovie's Premiere thing works. But anyways, ignoring that, where was I going with my point? Oh yeah, I was very bad this first game, and even in the second game or third game, I forgot which one it was, I made some horrible mistakes that took me a few seconds to, remember, hey, it's this play I'm supposed to do, because my first discard was Tearful Malice, again, not thinking about the fact that I had Roaming Prison. But, hey, there's my ride chance. I always love doing these, because I always like to imagine the character that plays the deck in the anime is saying the lines, and I love Zorga's the most. Zorga's is actually the reason why I did this when Masanori pulled the over against Tomari in Season 2. That is actually the reason why I started doing that, because that and I was just really hyped up from Nirvana, but, from Nirvana Haiva, by the way, or Jiva, how you choose to call it, but, the whole cup of nothingness and invite the living to take a sip. I love that so much that it just kind of made me want to be I'm gonna write more for them, and that's actually where Zorga's text inspiration comes from. It comes from those, and as I make more misplays, not realizing what I have access to, because again, I'm just fucking too tired. I mean, also I wanted to be clear, I recorded this, not the video I'm recording now, but this video right here that we're watching, I recorded this at 3-ish in the morning. Again, that's normal more or less, but lag, so take that as you will. My mind is not working properly. But in my opinion, I did some pretty good plays with the deck I haven't touched in about not necessarily. Whenever Masques last came out, that's the last time I touched it. So, that's enough about Zorga for now. Actually, I'll go over Zorga a little bit, because I know some of you are probably wanting to know the deck builds, and even though I'm pretty sure I'm going to start doing deck profiles either next week or the week after, depending on when this video goes up, if it hasn't already started. I know some people are probably itching to learn Zorga's deck profile, and all that's really in Zorga, it's just 7 crits, and we only run 1 copy of Mysterious Range Spiritualist. I originally was going to try to run, what's it called, Dead Sea Spiritualist for the sake of fetching orders back, then I thought about it and was it's not going to work out, is it? So I chose just to run Range Spiritualist because I realized Masanori was actually onto a good thing. Too bad he didn't actually use Dead Sea in the anime. I hope he will one day. But, okay, yeah, let's just ignore this real quickly. But, Then wait, where's my point going with this? Oh yeah, it's just like kind of focused on spamming roaming Prism Dragon. I don't run that grade 2 that calls itself from drop zone when your Vanguard attacks, simply because A, it's name restricted to the new Zorga, and B, it like takes up counterbalance, and as you can see here, like, this is what I mean by if the deck does what it's supposed to, it will CB the hell really early on and leave you with no CB. The way this deck is built. And that's how you can tell, because if it doesn't do this, that means you bricked at some point. So, you know, that's kind of the thing. Like, this is one of the better games, because Zorga didn't necessarily brick in this one. I'm waiting to, yep, and by the way, this is the first game that I played with this deck. I literally played it the second after I uploaded the Ezreal and Vandy video, and look at all the Varenas I pulled. I pulled all 4 of them. Let's go, baby. And this grade 1 is the MV fucking P, and we'll see why later if you haven't seen the actual fight video yet, if you're watching this first. By the way, thank you for watching this, because I actually I have been wanting to do this for a while now, and I'm kind of glad I got to redo it. But, anyways, I guess what we can do is talk about the Nirvana side now. And the Nirvana side is, actually, I'll continue on with the Zorga side just one more bit, which is in the sense that the reason why this deck will work and it won't work is because there's only 6 orders. No, there's 8 orders. There's 9 orders, probably. Between 8 and 9. There's 2 Ye Wandering Souls, to my memory. There's 3 Cloud and Misma, I believe. There's 2 of this thing. And then there's 2 Tearful Malice, for the sake of Countercharge and Soul Charge in case this happens. So, you know, it's kind of like... And the reason why I say it's meh is because this deck, unlike my Dead Sea Spiritualist deck, doesn't have the ability to spam out orders left, right, and center, and kind of struggles, and if we kind of don't end up with an order in hand like this, we kind of have to rely on teasing Spiritualist Soul Blast and pray to God that works. And thankfully, most of the time it does, especially because Dead Sea Spiritualist, you know, can get +10. By the way, I know the Zorga is like mostly off screen. Again, I'm sorry, but it is removed from game. I know I make that mistake sometimes. But anyways, sometimes I have to rely on that skill. Thankfully, I never have to rely on it more than once, but being able to fetch an order up pretty good. I've never used it to field spam because this deck can make a board out of nowhere. But yeah, that's pretty much Zorga deck. Like, it bricks a lot, even though its order count is almost the exact same as my other Zorga deck. I don't know why. I guess I guess it's kind of like the other Zorga deck has the ability to A, mill out stuff, and B, get the abilities to, I don't know, what's it called? Fetch orders from drop, but whatever. Now we can move on to Nirvana. I gotta say, I love this Nirvana deck. I love playing Haeva. It's great. I don't care that it's a -3. I know you can't see it, but I did air quotes. I don't know why I did air quotes. It is a technical -3, but I don't care if it's a -3. It's just fun to play one card, especially because I like Haeva's skill. I don't know what it is. Discarding 1 card to get 2 out is so satisfying, especially if you like ditch the Trickstar we had none in drop, or ditch the Prayer Dragon you had none in drop, and then have the other one in drop, and then you get both out. Alright, I just like doing that. It's so fun, and this deck is just so nice to play because, and I'm not going to talk about Game 1. There's a specific game I do want to talk about, and that's why I'm just like taking Game 1 to go over the decks. But Nirvana being able to go with all 4 Varenas is pretty great. The only thing I'm disappointed about is this, and this is a small spoiler if you haven't seen the full fight yet, and that is the fact that I never played Bar, and the whole point, and we'll come to see this later, I really wanted, after this game where I had drawn all of them in hand, because remember, this is the first game. I'm going to tell you right now, normally for a lot of my games, Game 2 in reality is like Game 3 or 4, and the reason why it's called Game 2 is because I don't want to have a bonus game, even though I did have to have one, but I don't like for you guys to think that I had a bonus game, because, you know, it makes it seem like the other deck only won because I kept pushing, and not because it, like, actually won in a game of merit. Because it did win, but it took, like, a few extra tries. That's how a lot of decks are. This is one of those games where I didn't have to do that, where it was automatically Nirvana lost the first game, and then this game, because by default that means Nirvana won this game, and then the last game, it didn't matter. I didn't have to redo it unless there was lag, and thankfully there wasn't. So it was one of the few games that I actually loved because it didn't lag that much. I mean, it felt like it lagged, but apparently it didn't on camera. But it didn't lag too much. The games were like how I wanted them to be. Like, the only other thing I could have asked for Nirvana is playing Bar, because like I said, getting all four cross dresses in hand, or 5 actually, I really wanted to use Bar, even though I don't like him, because hey, that means I could use all of them in this match. And sadly, I didn't get to do so because it just like wasn't worth it in like any in the one situation it would have been like okay to call him instead of calling over stuff. It just wasn't a good idea because it'd be much more of a minus than a plus in the current situations. So I just rather not go bar, sadly, and it was a choice, and yeah, that's how it is. Anyways, heal trigger, power to Vanguard. But we can go on to talk about, like, the action units now. The grade 1, the new one that, like, Soul Blast 1 to Surge is amazing. Because, like I said, I don't, like, normally go into Bar. And Bar is my way to get Trick Stars and Drop Zone so I can use Nirvana to get more crossover dresses. And while I do like spamming Braum, because Braum can Soul Blast and is my favorite cross dress, the issue is Braum has to hit. Meaning your opponent can just guard it and then boom, you can't get a Trick Star. And there have been many times where I've just been having a stuck Trick Star and Soul, and it's the only Trick Star I have extra because the other two either ended up in damage zone, I haven't pulled a heal yet, or they are still in deck somehow because I bricked and I didn't pull Regalio. And that's just how it ends up being half the time. And then there are games like, then there are games like that where I just don't brick. But, where was I going with this? But that new grade 1 definitely helps out because now when I cross Overdress with it, by the way, I only run a 3 of because I see it often enough as a 3 of, as we'll see here. But, whenever I cross Overdress with it now, I can get my Overdresses out of deck, or cross Overdress out of deck, and even if I don't get one out of deck, which isn't the thing I use it for, I can get a Trick Star and drop, meaning I can now ditch something, call that Trick Star and a Prayer Dragon from my drop zone back to the rear guard, and then abuse my opponent with it. All around is pretty solid, and that actually comes in useful later, as we'll see. But honestly, it's been pretty fun getting to use that skill, and it's amazing, and it's a combo so with Regalio, because you can use Regalio's skill to ditch that grade 1 and search your deck for a Trick Star, add it to hand, then ditch Trick Star, call the Trick Star you just ditched, and the grade 1, then overdress them into, something. I mean, if you have a Trick Star and Drop Zone, then, or you have a Trick Star in hand or a Trick Star and Drop Zone, then it works better this way. But to go into Regalio first. But then, you know, just really cross overdress into something, and then use the skill of the grade 1 to Soul Blast out of Trick Star, top 7, get something back. All around, it's pretty solid and it's fun doing, especially because Reno gets you a free Trick Star, so technically you already have 2 with you. It's just a really good play you can do, and it helps set up for Nirvana, and it's just all around fun doing. So, I don't really have much more to say on that. Regalio definitely does his job with the CB. Mirror, this game actually has me. I like how when Mirror came out, again I say, this was recorded the same day as that video, I had said, Nirvana doesn't need a counter charger. Never have those words come back to, like, bite me so quickly. That, all I'm gonna say is this, I'm not, how do I say without spoiling it? Those words, came true. Not the they don't need it, the they do need it part, more or less. Yeah, that came true almost immediately, in a very interesting form. And it actually was needed to win the game, so yeah, there's that. I'm not gonna, actually I kind of did spoil what happened, but we'll let that slide. But, ignoring that aside, oh yeah, that was interesting, to say the least, the triple no trigger. I really thought that would never happen, but to be fair, it's gonna happen at some point. You know what's funny too? I used to hate Ye Wandering Souls, and I still do, but I've spammed it so much now in this new Zorga, I've actually started to like it, and it's surprising once you, like, use a card you thought you hated, because it just turns out in some decks, some stuff is more broken. Like, again, I say, this deck I have trouble drawing orders randomly, but then there's situations like this, where this card suddenly goes in useful, when in my other decks, it's not that useful. It's just weird, and I don't understand it. But, hey, there we go, using skills to call Regalio, calling Trick Star. I've, like, kind of given no, like, data on the gameplay outside of, like, a few snippets here and there, but I've just been going on with my deck opinions. But, yeah, that's all I have to pretty much say about Nirvana. The deck does work. It has a variety of options. So you have 2 rear guards that can kill stuff. You have Big Boy Interceptor over here. We have Garo, who comes in useful for finishers on the occasions I actually draw him as a finisher. So I tell you what, half the time I draw him in the early hand, I just feel like rushing, so I just call Garo and he dies by the time I get to grade 3. And then there's, of course, Mirrors, who works great as a draw and works great as a, what's it called? A counter charge. So all around pretty solid. And now here's the thing. Now I'm actually pause that one. I genuinely debated there if it was worth dropping this for that PG. I'm not joking, because I wanted to keep that order. Because I didn't remember if I had Soul Blast the Zorga or not, even though I could have just looked over here. My issue that I threw down the order with anyways, is because I just knew I could get an order back anyways. And I just chose to keep these 3 for calling's sake. Watch how that almost lost me the game if I didn't do that. Because draw trigger. If you want to count up those numbers, this is 35, this is 43. This is 23. I did not do the math before I guarded that. I genuinely just chose in that moment that it would have been... Okay, granted it wouldn't have mattered with the over, but I genuinely chose in that moment that just dropping the order was better, because again, I just kind of like realized that it's fine, because I did want to use the Zorga to get a rear guard originally, but it was fine. I was fine with dropping the order, and if I didn't, that would have almost been game. Again, the over would have showed up, but it would have almost been game from that. And that's like, you know, sometimes stupid decisions can lead to kind of smart ones. And now I go on to the stupid rush. You see, that was one right there where in the original I had I don't know what I did. Oh yeah, I had done a play, realized it was wrong. That one was me messing up the first time, because the first time, if you saw, the critical trigger was moved over here instead of right here. That was because I originally sent this and the critical trigger to drop zone. Realized the whole point of the plan was to send roaming prison to drop zone, so quickly cut that out. But when I tried fixing it, the crit just like kind of went back here, and I didn't feel like fixing it in the moment, which made it seem a little bit more unrealistic. But that's how some edits are, you know. Sometimes you just don't think the entire team through, and that was lag at its finest. But yeah, that's just how, I don't know how to talk about that otherwise. But oh yeah, then there's this situation. Zorga's real power, the plus 25 to front row. And like I said before, when this deck goes off, it goes off. It's a 50-50. It either does nothing or does everything. Plus 25 to front row with an extra crit on roaming. Now the Vanguard is most likely a block because, you know, you don't want them to see a crit. This is a guaranteed block. And no matter what in this situation, if a crit shows up, it's game. Because Nirvana doesn't have a PG. Actually, it does. It has it right here. But, oh yeah, I did notice the PG. I forgot when I was guarding this if I had a PG or not, and I was trying to think about it. But that's one of the first few times I've ever used Vills. It's not the first time I have used him, but it's one of the few times I've willingly used a Vills, because I normally don't like dropping Vills off rear guard unless I absolutely have to, which in that case I kind of did. And that was sign of game pretty much, because dropping all cards that are grade 3s now. I think that is no, that's not every grade 3 because it's still called a Misma, but pretty much no guard hand. I still remember that game. I forgot which one it was, but one of the matches was Zorga. I think it may have been against Orphis, where Zorga's hand was just all cards that couldn't guard, and the only reason Zorga lived is because of triggers. I remember that game so specifically because it was so fun to me how Zorga was like really on the verge of death, and they just barely didn't. Also, let's do it! The play! Risking it all on Brahamada, baby! Be praying for a prayer dragon. Let's go! I can do the play! I'm not joking, that's genuinely kind of what I screamed when that succeeded. I was so happy that happened, because I was trying to get double crossover dress. Because I was actually debating on mirrors and Braum. I kind of waited there for like 10 seconds trying to figure it out. By the way, if you're wondering how I know these time adjustments, is because when I'm recording, I genuinely do memorize the times. And again, I say, remember earlier when I said that, again, spoiler alert, Nirvana wins this game specifically. I want to be clear now. If it wasn't for this, mirrors right here, that actually, they would have, you know, I'll also play it out. I'll let it play out. Because that's a 20k swing, skill, blast out, the first time I've used that skill to countercharge. And it, oh. Wait. Oh. Hey. Okay, I get it. Okay, ignore that. You saw nothing, you heard nothing. Anyways, what happened there was me debating, and I chose to keep that in. I originally cut it, but I was like, you know, it's going to be fun to keep that in for the sake of when I do this video. And the reason I kept that in is because in that moment, I was deciding, again, do I want to use bar, knowing this is the last game I have to record unless this lags, or do I want to go for the play of using mirror? Or like, and when I mean by play of using mirror, I mean doing double cross-dress, because I know I can get a Trick Star from one skill, and I might draw a Trick Star from Brahamada, and there we go. And again, my thought process here was, do I bank it on the top 7 from your skill to see another grade 2 cross-dress, or do I keep you in hand and use all the crossover dresses this match? And I was genuinely debating about it, because again, I don't like bar, but I was so close, because I'd used everyone else up to this point, and I was like, is it worth it? And I genuinely thought about it, and in the end, I was like, sorry, bar, nothing personal. And it's kind of true, because again, I don't, like, bar is by hands down my least favorite. It's my, like, if I were to say I hate one, which I'm not necessarily saying I do, but bar is by far the one, like, I will be so quick to just get rid of the choice came up. But anyways, crossover dress. and me trying to see a grade 2 from this. I can now do the play. I regret nothing. Again, I didn't stream this because, again, this was like at, actually, I think at this point, it was probably 3:50 in the morning again, but, you know, I was just so happy to see that. And I don't know why pulling off that grade 1 skill, I only ever get 2 cards, but let's send the 2 cross-dress to Soul, because thankfully Mirror doesn't have to send 2 different names. And then we call Trickstar, we call Brahmada, and this is how you make plays, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck hand cards, as I said on camera, even though it was muted, because, again, copyright music, because I always play copyright music in the background when I'm playing, but, because I don't plan on keeping the audio most of the time, and it's on rare occasions that I do keep the audio that the music thankfully wasn't playing. But yeah, fuck hand cards, and it worked out because Zorga literally could do nothing. And if you're wondering why I let Zorga go second this time, is because I was trying to Masques. Because in my thought process, even though they just lost, I was like, that was kind of a fluke though. I feel like Zorga could win with Masques if they just like, I don't know, got a better chance. Because that game they did kind of brick a little bit because they didn't pull a single copy of this thing till the very end. And the triple drive with no triggers, obviously. And, yeah, this kind of put a wrench in that plans because 20k beat stick that is a force drop too. And granted, all of its original cross dresses are out, or not all of them, one of them's out. But this card getting a hand card, which is a Persona Ride, is pretty nice. And not to mention the draw of the over and a crit. That was anticipated, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I knew doing that skill I was gonna draw 2 triggers. I did not know the over was coming, but I knew a crit was coming. And it was kind of like expected that I would get a trigger that would fuck me over. I was expecting a heal, but the over works too, I guess. Here comes rear guard columns at 23 and then just 10. Honestly, not that bad, but there's like no reason to guard except here because, you know, gotta protect the investors. Because I love having the double cross dresses down. It's just like having double overdress. And yeah, again, I genuinely debated if it was worth dropping the over for bar, because by the way, I only run 2 bars, and the only way I'm getting that, the only way I'm getting them back now is if I draw into a Bills, and I was just like, you know what, I want the Persona Ride, I might need the over for guarding, especially because I'm at 3 damage, I don't want to sack either of these 2, and I was like, again, sorry bar, I just can't, and in that point, I kind of knew, like, I'm probably not going to get to play bar that game, and I debated on that. I genuinely was about to drop the, and when I say about, I mean I did, and then I immediately took it back, but lag already put it in drop zone. But I had genuinely thought about, do I want to just drop the over and call forth a Trickstar and Strigolio from drop zone just to get rear guard push? And I almost did it, and the only thing that stopped me was like, Masques is a thing, and I'm at 3 damage. It's not worth risking it. But let's go on the assault, 13 to Vanguard. I love doing that. It's so satisfying to stand the rear guards. Guarding for the numbers. As per usual, as you can see, the situation that happened with Orpheus, I think, almost happened again. 4 cards that can't guard with 1 card being able to. This time, the difference being the card that can guard is actually a fucking PG, unlike before where it was a 5k. Sadly, we are, like, not half our hand and Nirvana is useless, but this is not a good situation to be in. And that's why I kept the over, because I didn't think I would get a good part. But we go in for 30, we use the skill to draw another card to make sure that we're good. And yeah, so you see we got a little bit of defensive power left. Does it mean we're safe? No, but we are struggling. And for some reason, 3 of those happened to hit there for some reason. And here's our boy Zorga. And this is where it gets kind of interesting, to say the least. Me trying to make plays with a deck I haven't played in a decent bit. Calling Ranker Chain. I don't remember if I paid the CB for that or not. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, who knows. Me about to play the order to do a play. Then me using the mask in order to Persona Ride and trying to... I think I tried to end it on this turn. I don't remember if I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't try to end it on this turn with Masques because I knew I couldn't. I just tried stalling, especially because the PGs are what made the difference, because I know now I can survive 2 attacks. I can't survive a 3rd one, but I can, or 4th one, especially if this thing's going to stay on the board, but I can survive nonetheless. And there's our free plus 25 to front row. Again, that skill is so stupid. And I wanted to use double Cloud and Misma all those games. I swear to you, I genuinely did. And the only reason I did is because I never got 2 of them and drop at the same time. But I swear to you, I was waiting for the moment where I could do it. But remove that from game, send that to drop zone. Vanguard has triple drive now, and we're just going to swing in for pressure. And obviously, Nirvana just, like, and this was my thought process again. If a crit shows up, it's game. Crit shows up, it's game. First check heal. Power to, I want to say it was Hendry. Oh no, it was power to roaming because I knew roaming would have pressure on it. And then second check. This makes up for the triple drive last time of no triggers. Double triggers. Yep. And again, my thought process kind of like, I'm fucked, aren't I? Well, at least it's the game's short. Crit, all effects van. And I was like, come on, see a heal. I want to do plays. Let me see a heal. Damage check. First heal. That is the first heal Nirvana has seen all game. And is the heal that saves them. And obviously at this point, Zorga cannot kill because this is some overdrop. I genuinely did count out the number, but it just, like, if I remember correctly, it was either I dropped all 3 of these and then I intercept, which wouldn't have been worth it, or it was like something else, but either way, I think I'd have to drop an intercept, and it just, I wanted to keep like both crossover just on the board, especially because of considering this hand, and it just happened to be that way. And sadly, Garo had to go down because I couldn't defend it. Again, I genuinely did the math, and it was a 5k difference. But here we go, a move I never thought I'd have to make. Persona Ride, and then sadly, because I don't have the ability to cross-dress, and sadly I don't have a card that can search one now, which is the one thing I do hate about the new Grade 1 is the fact that he doesn't search it on plays. I feel like on plays would have been better, but I can see why that would have been a little bit broken, but since I can no longer do the play, we discard the Flare Veil. Yes, I'm aware I'm discarding 10k guarding power just to get a 5k guarding power in return. My defense here, it's deck thinning, so fair enough, and then call Nirvana. I did not think I would have to resort to this, but I did, because there's no other choice, for the sake of attack numbers. 30 to Vanguard, simple guard and intercept. Nirvana comes in, boosted by Trickstar. We CB1 to stand mirrors. PG comes down, and with that, I know for sure Zorga Masques surviving this turn because I can see the other PG. Unless I see double crits, which I don't. I see double PGs though, which more or less guarantees Nirvana surviving as long as the opponent doesn't get 3 units with double crit, which is possible, it's just doubtful. But there goes that crit, which didn't necessarily save Zorga, but it definitely came at an interesting time. If only it was a 5k less difference, because this was an 8k booster exactly, meaning we couldn't jump the heal for it. And here comes the big final turn play for Zorga, which is Bind the Order. Oh, wait, yeah, it was Bind that, and then Tearful Malice. And this is me making a misplay. I meant to kill, Roaming. Like I say here, I meant to kill Roaming, but again, lag made me think I killed... Lag made me think I grabbed Roaming instead, even though I wasn't paying attention. That's my bad. But I thought I grabbed Roaming because I meant to kill these two right here, and then proceed to call back Dreaming, and then therefore call back double Roaming, give them both 10k and double critical. And when I noticed, I allowed myself to, like, take it back, quote-unquote, because that was the plan, and if lag's gonna be a bitch to you, then I feel like that's an extreme, like, fairness rate. Like, that's what a lot of my games sometimes end up being, where a misplay will happen because of lag, and lag is annoying to the point where I'll just, like, forget what I was doing for a hot second and then quickly grab the wrong card on accident. So, yeah, anyways, at this point, again, a crit is game. Because if you can't tell, Nirvana cannot guard this, or, like, cannot guard any of these without dropping a PG. Therefore, it has to take this and just pray to God. So, first check, no trigger. Second check, no trigger, and Nirvana survives. And at this point, it's not necessarily guaranteed game Nirvana. Okay, that made a guaranteed game because, you know, 4 hand cards, one of them can't guard. So, with Garo, that essentially made a game. But, yeah, the no crit and the drive check. I don't know how many crits were out. I think there's like a total of 6 in Zorga. Either 6, 7, or 8. One of the 3. But, yeah, it's that now. Anyways, send and draw for final turn. Kill the Nirvana. Cross overdress Trickstar. I like how in that moment I thought if that was a legal move or not. And I was honestly about to go into Braum, but I was like, you know what? I never use Garo. I rarely do, and I use Braum so much. Especially in this situation where Garo would actually be better. So let's just let Garo have the spotlight. And yeah, that was me trying to take back a move because again, I didn't realize that Strigolio was the dumber play of the two. So we got our board, 20 to Vanguard, and heal trigger. So this is I was gonna pause it so when this happens. Yeah, okay. So, and here's what I mean by one trigger decides the winner. This is 18. This is a 1 to pass right now. This on swing is a 28. Guard with this. This on swing is a 2 to drop. Guard with this, then PG, and then because this is the only card in hand left, you don't have discard. That means if Nirvana doesn't see a trigger here, it's game. In favor of Zorga. And what do we see? Heal trigger. Let's be clear. This heal trigger is most of the time against me. And this is the one game the heal trigger was on my side, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And without further ado, I'm going to end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it wasn't the best commentary, but I gotta say I enjoyed doing this again. And if you guys want more, comment down below what other fights you want me to like rewatch and give my reaction to, more or less. So I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us, go to follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to tune up your vanguards.